Hello and welcome. This is Intimacy After, a podcast for mature women facing intimacy issues from various causes. Please know you are not alone. It is time to stop suffering in silence. On this podcast, we give hope that through practice of simple steps and proven tips, you can improve intimacy and resurrect your love life. Break free, learn to laugh again, to play again, to be happy, to love, and know that you are loved. I am your host, Queen. Come on inside. Hey, welcome inside to another episode of Intimacy After. Sick and tired of being tired. Yes, you've got to know that when you are tired and fatigued, this can also affect intimacy and sex. So today's episode, we are going to focus on how we can balance life and prioritize intimacy and sex to strengthen relationship and avoid the pitfall of growing apart. That's what being tired does. That's what fatigue can do in affecting intimacy. And hopefully, we can, at the end of this, move away from the dreaded D word, divorce. So, okay, don't blink or look to your left or right. This topic is crucial to you and for you. This is happening to all of us. It's a slow boil that if you don't pay attention to it, it can and will become problematic in the very near future. Do you know the story about the frog in the water? It wasn't hot initially, but that slow boil, well, I'm sure you'll look it up, but here's a real life example. Picture a typical day for, let's say, Diane, a 51-year-old mother of 2 teenagers working full-time as a project manager. From the moment she wakes, her day is a whirlwind of getting the kids out the door, managing demanding work projects. By the end of the day, she had to drag herself away from work because there are deadlines hovering, right? But she knows she needed to get home. Didn't feel like cooking, so picked up some things on her way home. Halfway healthy. As soon as she gets through the door, she tried to squeeze in some household chore. Intimacy with her husband, Greg, has taken a backseat to the never-ending list of responsibilities. Not only is she not thinking about Greg, she doesn't feel like having sex. And even if she wanted to, her body's just too tired. It just wouldn't cooperate anyway. All she could muster up was a quick peck on his lips just before collapsing into the bed and sighing good night in complete exhaustion. Diane's story is all too common, isn't it? Have you found yourself in similar situations, juggling multiple roles and responsibilities? Let's face it, this constant juggling act can lead to overwhelming fatigue, leaving little to no energy for intimacy or sex. If this keeps up and intimacy is neglected, it can create emotional distance between partners, leading to feelings of loneliness and resentment. You will wake up one day trying to figure out, how can I be lonely? Right? You're in marriage. So how can I be this lonely? You tell yourself you do better and even schedule a date night. If you're anything like me, if there's the slightest lag during a movie, let's say, you'd be knocked out sleeping too. Why? You're operating from a deficit where tiredness is your baseline. So you go from tired to fatigue to extremely fatigue, get a little sleep in between, back to tired again. No, sister friend, that is not how it's supposed to be. I remember a time when working long hours was a badge of honor. Silly. Within the first year of becoming a medical resident, we had a mandate that no resident should work more than 80 hours per week. Or was it 100 hours? Well, either way, isn't that like crazy? How many hours per day would you have to work for 80 to 100 hours per week? Yup, that's per week, not month. No wonder the divorce rate among certain doctors and specialties back then was over 300%. Get married, divorce, remarry again. I don't have to tell you what happened in any work environment with over an 80 hours per week work week. So, okay, you're not working one job at 80 hours, but then you find yourself picking up an extra job here or doing something extra there, having 2, 3 jobs. That's the same thing. This is not only for us medical doctors. I remember talking with a nurse. She worked 12-hour shifts and was caring for her aging parents. By the time she finished her evening routine, she was physically and emotionally drained. Even though she loved her hubby dearly, she shared that the thought of being intimate feels like yet another chore rather than a pleasurable activity. Note to self: don't let this happen to you when you're married. Somewhere along the line, I lost the sticky note. So it is that we find ourselves in the sandwich generation, right? Caring for both children and aging parents while managing careers as well. Like, what? If you're a late bloomer like myself who missed the marital gold rush in college or medical school and now have a preteen, well, you know, needless to say, if you're tired all the time due to the physical and mental exhaustion that comes from these responsibilities, it can significantly reduce your libido and interest in sexual activities. You do not want to neglect intimacy and sex in your relationship or take it for granted, even when you're simply exhausted. When intimacy and sex are put on the back burner, you can start to feel emotionally disconnected. I remember a couple, let's call them Maria and Dave, married for over 20 years. They've always thought they had a strong relationship. With the kids out of the house, their sex life had dwindled due to Maria's demanding job and Dave's health issues. The funny thing is, we got into this discussion during an appointment because they were fussing about something as I entered the exam room. I was asked to be a tiebreaker. Oh no, not me, but cunningly avoided that and instead encouraged them to look at the root of the problem. They have noticed that they argued more often and feel more like roommates than hubbies. We spoke a bit on the issue before addressing the real reason for their follow-up appointment. I've always been amazed at how these topics presented themselves over the years to me. I'm a cancer doctor, and majority of the time, I end up speaking to patients about life issues because patients who are diagnosed with cancer are not cancer patients. They're exactly that, patients diagnosed with cancer. And after the cancer treatments and everything is done, they have lives too. And so when they come in for follow-up and I ask how they're doing, they literally tell me if I'm not walking in on something and having to, push the envelope a little bit, but they are very open and they share with me. And so I thank all my patients over the past 2 decades who have shared and therefore now allow me to share with you, my sister friend. But I tell you, God knows the plan He has for me. And little by little, He gave me all the tools that I needed that I can share with you. Do you feel like you are drifting apart in your relationship, though, after years of not prioritizing your intimate life? It can start slowly and end badly. Do not neglect your hubby because the kids are there. You cannot do that. You have to make sure you have time for each other, no matter how tired you may be. Some of you may have opted to live parallel lives with little emotional connection, but that is not a solution either. Why? If you truly love and care for someone, neglecting intimacy can also lead to the risk of divorce. According to relationship experts, lack of intimacy is a common reason cited in divorce proceedings. It may not be presented as intimacy issues, but it would be listed as quote unquote growing apart or unreconcilable differences. You've heard those before. What I have come to realize is that you don't need an expert to tell you most of these things. You just have to be determined and make the decision to make a change. If you didn't know, you can sense it. If you are starting to feel unappreciated, unloved, disconnected, tired, and tired, and tired even more, sister friend, take note, but not on a sticky pad like I did. These are signs leading to a breakdown in your relationship. I have known couples who had been married for over 25 years deciding to divorce after realizing that their lack of physical intimacy had created a chasm in their relationship that was so wide that they could not bridge the gap. Are you headed that way? Let's talk about a few things that you can do about fatigue, stress, and your busy schedule to get some rest, get more energy, and start chasing your hubby around the house. You need to start being a kid again. Have fun with your hubby. We are all busy. We live in a busy, noisy world. I went for a few weeks this summer back home, and they are even getting busy in the Caribbean too. Curse it. Whatever happened to island time? Thankfully, I was able to sneak away to a resort where I ate too much, but hey, I was on holiday. I'm back on track now. Anyway, let's get back to what we're discussing here. So, how can you overcome barriers to intimacy? You have to decrease your tiredness, decrease the stress around you, and loosen up on that schedule. Can't have a busy schedule like you do. You have to start with the other dreaded D word, discipline. Yes, discipline. You cannot always do things when you feel like it because feelings are fickle and you'll never get around to doing what you need to do. So, discipline is the word. The military, the Bible, and life taught me that things are not based on feelings. If it is, then you simply will not get things done. Back in the day, I was teased about my many schedules, but then I am now being sought after for these same type of schedules, the practical ones that you can use to balance your life. One of my virtual mentors, Wayne Dyer, he said, and I think he was quoting someone else, I don't really recall, but I know Wayne Dyer was the one who said this. When the student is ready, the sage will appear. Are you ready? I am sage. I'm not a betting person, but chances are some of these tips you have heard before. Maybe not associated with intimacy and sex, but I invite you to consider these tips with a different set of lenses. So, you're tired. Why are you tired? Working too hard? Not getting enough sleep? Not enough self-care? All of the above? Let's not apply a band-aid to the core issue here. Maybe if you fix your sleep hygiene, that will also correct quite a few other things. Yes, sleep hygiene. It's not about keeping your sleep clean. It is about recharging, getting enough sleep. There are lots of data out there about what's the practical amount of sleep. I can tell you 4 hours is not enough sleep for an adult. If you're living off 4 hours of sleep, keep looking out because you will crash soon. 6 hours is sort of borderline as well. On average, you need a solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Now, if you do the math and you're working these 80 hours per week, that doesn't leave a lot of time for sleep. So you have to do the math and figure it out. It's simple. You have to prioritize sleep. You need to get enough sleep. Like I said, this probably is not new. You've heard this before. You know this, but it's not a choice. It's not an A, B, or C. It's a decision. And when you make a decision, you are cutting out all the other options. And you are saying, this is what I am going to do. I am speaking from experience. I lived in perpetual sleep deficit for a very long time. And I can tell you, it took a very long time to climb out of it as well. Lack of sleep can affect a whole lot of things. I think they had a movie about what sleep deprivation can cause. Nevertheless, let's just look at a couple things. And again, this should not be new to you. If it is, no problem. Either way, you need to be disciplined about enacting this, about doing and making the change. It's about action, right? You know, my dear sister friend, that when you don't get sleep, you are moody and irritable. You know, sleep deprivation can lead to mood swings, irritability, and if you're irritable and having mood swings, of course there's going to be decreased emotional connection with your partner. That just makes sense, right? So you work backwards. Get rid of some of those mood swings and don't blame the hormone yet. We'll get to that in another episode. But you get up on the wrong side of the bed every morning. Don't do that. Get up on the right side. Get enough sleep. Stop with all that mood swings and stuff because it's affecting your communication with your partner, right? Engage in relaxing activities together before bed with your honey bunny. Read something together. Take a walk. You have to prioritize quality time with your partner, focusing on emotional connection, even if physical intimacy is less frequent. Like I said before, it's not always about physical intimacy, right? Lack of sleep can also lead to reduced energy, making physical intimacy feel exhausting, like another job. And your body just don't have the energy to go through with all of that. So you have to set realistic expectations for intimate encounters, right? Focus on quality rather than quantity. Try exploring different times of day for intimacy when energy levels are higher, such as morning or early evening. Get your work schedule in sync. When do you see each other? Because if you're working the night shift and he's working the morning shift, y'all are just passing in the night. So there has to be some effort in synchronizing your work schedule as well. So when it comes to exploring different times of day, hey, maybe you have to get together when you're getting off shift and still a little bit awake and he is all awake and he's going out in the morning, make a little quickie time right there. You have to do what you have to do. Oh boy. Incorporate healthy lifestyle habits. So we all know we got to eat well. And we keep saying that, but what are you doing towards that? Know that sleep deprivation also lowers your desire, your libido, and interest in sex. This fatigue and hormonal imbalance can affect a lot of things. So when you prioritize your sleep and establish a consistent bedtime routine, you could be fixing a whole lot of issues that you don't even know relate to your sleep. So don't leave the TV on all night. I'm sorry, but I had to have a rule about that. The TV have to go off at 10 o'clock in the bedroom because it just mess up with my mind. I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming about different things. No, 10 o'clock, the TV is off. There are TV elsewhere in the home. You can't have a good night's sleep with the TV running. I don't believe it. Send me a message, let me know if you need noise to fall asleep or if the TV have to be on from you. Just go to my website and send me a message, because more and more folks are doing that. I know a lot of folks do, but that's not how it's supposed to be. Create a relaxing environment. Dim the lights. Limit screen time before bed. Get one of those ocean sound things or whatever it is you like. The rain, the ocean, the forest, the cricket. Something to just make you calm your body down and drift off into sleep. The shoot 'em up shows and noise with the TV on, they're just going to get you all anxious and uptight even while you're sleeping. Don't do it. Don't do it. Lack of sleep also elevate your stress hormone, which can negatively affect your intimacy. You have to practice some mindfulness, journaling before bed to clear your mind. Incorporate stress reduction activities like yoga or gentle exercise. Make time for short naps. Look, I take my naps. There's nothing like my Sunday afternoon naps. Try to keep it on to 30 minutes. That's what they recommend. But let me tell you, sometimes I'll be knocked out hour and a half, 2 hours. But to avoid disrupting your nighttime sleep, you need to keep your naps 30 minutes or less. And most importantly, this sleep deprivation can affect your thought process, what we refer to as your cognitive function. And this can lead to poor communication and misunderstanding with your hubby and even issues at work, right? So there are a lot of things that just getting your sleep can fix. 8 hours, shoot for 8 hours. If you get 7, that'll be good, but you need your sleep. The next thing we want to talk about is some time management. So now we kind of address the issue. Why are you tired? You need to know why you're tired. And that's what you got to look at, because you need to get more sleep. Now, in order to get to that, though, you're going to need to do some time management. You must create space for intimacy. Yes, create space. You make space for a lot of other things. Your nails, your hair. Why not something that may save your relationship? So, sister friend, amidst your busy schedule, you must schedule intimacy. Treat intimacy like an important meeting. Schedule time for it to ensure it becomes a regular part of your routine. Well, what about spontaneity? You may say, that will come later, dear. Yes. Anything beyond your schedule intimacy will be added spice, and the spontaneity that you or your spouse may desire, that will come. Admittedly, it may seem, dry, but if you use examples from previous podcasts I did and build up to it, it will be nothing short of at least good. It's a start. Remember, small steps. So set aside one evening a week as a date night. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It could be as simple as watching a movie together or enjoying a quiet dinner at home. But let it end in sex and hopefully orgasm too. If you'll fall asleep during the movie, then get the action in first. Between you and your hubby, that is, not the movie. I know not everyone is at that level yet where they can end everything with a sexual encounter. And not all days have to end in sex either. How about you massage his shoulder? Then the next time he massage your feet, or you clip his nails and massage his hands. Don't be surprised if these simple touching make you both excited. In order to create space, though, you must prioritize tasks. Use to-do lists and prioritize tasks to create more free time. If you still have kids in the home, delegate household chores to reduce your burden. Or, if it's within the budget, get help in doing some of the chores, such as using a home cleaning service. During my residency in Chicago, you know, that 80 to 100 hours per week dedicated to learning about cancer and caring for patients, I surely had no time to care for myself. Away from family, I took full advantage of grocery delivery services, dry cleaning and laundry drop-off services. If I could hire someone to sleep for me, Sister Fran, you better believe I surely would have done that too. You are creative. You can do this. No problem, Mon. You could do this. You will notice that with scheduled intimacy and prioritizing tasks, the stress meter will start to go down. Now, you can add a couple other stress reduction techniques to the list with your newfound time. Incorporate mindfulness practice to reduce stress. Even a few minutes of meditation each day can help calm your mind, calm your nerves, and prepare you for, you guessed it, intimacy. You can spend as little as 10 minutes each day. No, not on sex. Come on now. As little as 10 minutes each day practicing deep breathing or guided meditation. There are lots of apps that can be helpful. Also, consider regular physical activity, which can reduce stress and boost mood, making intimacy more appealing. Yes. Sex is considered a physical activity, but it can be limited based on your skill set status. The feel-good hormones, endorphins and oxytocin are released during sex and activate pleasure centers in the brain. This boosts your mood by creating a feeling of intimacy and relaxation and decrease stress in the process. There you have it. Sex is a stress buster. You may also join a yoga class together. I cannot convince my hubby to do this, so sometimes we take walks. But if you could get your hubby to join in a yoga class with you, I think that would be fantastic. Or just do yoga together at home. Who knows? You may try to do a position and just happen to tumble over on him. Physical activity not only reduces stress, but also strengthens your bond as a couple. Open and honest communication with your partner is crucial. Do you do weekly check-ins? This is not to be confused with regular check-ins about, how was your day at work today? Set aside time for a weekly check-in or start monthly, where you both talk about what's working and what isn't in your intimate life. This helps build trust and understanding. Share your feelings of fatigue or stress with your partner. Being vulnerable can foster deeper emotional connections and can be seen as sexy. You're depending on him. You're sharing. You're being vulnerable. This maintains intimacy even when you're not up for sex. He understands what is going on now in your life. And if military-minded, may even offer to confront your coworkers or any stress issues on your behalf and take care of that issue. He is there for you. You have to believe that. So far, we have been talking about the second wind, right? We acknowledge about what's causing the fatigue and then some of the things you can do to address your tiredness and how you need to incorporate intimacy. But sometimes things are just outside of your scope, too far gone. No amount of sleep, scheduling intimacy, prioritizing your list, etc., can close that gap from months or years of neglect. If fatigue, stress, or busy schedules are significantly affecting your intimate life, consider seeking help from a therapist or counselor. It may be time. It may just be time to seek help. Couples therapy can provide tools for improving communication and intimacy, while individual therapy can help address personal stressors and mental health concerns. If intimacy issue persists, though, consulting a sex therapist can be beneficial. They can provide strategies to reignite desires and improve sexual satisfaction. A sex therapist may suggest new ways to explore intimacy that accommodate both partners' needs and comfort level. Remember, it's about doing things together, coming together, and sometimes you just need that extra oomph, that help. It is essential to recognize that intimacy is a vital component of a healthy relationship. By addressing barriers like fatigue, stress, and busy schedules with practical solutions, you can revitalize your intimate lives and strengthen your relationships. Prioritizing intimacy is not just about physical connection. It's about nurturing the emotional bond that keeps relationship resilient and fulfilling. Well, get you some rest so you can get you some good intimacy and sex. Happy sleeping and sweet dreams. Well, sister friend, I know you have choices, so I thank you for tuning into Intimacy After podcast. You may subscribe for bi-monthly alerts or stay in the know by visiting my website at queenquanta.com. That's Queen, QUANTA.com. Until next time, remember, a life without intimacy is like your favorite meal without salt. Ladies, let's spice it up. Life is beautiful and God is awesome. This is Queen signing out.